Welcome to Gray Matter Reports. Today we decode the complex reality of events that unfold around us. A dimly lit room, shadows dance along the walls, a stark contrast to the sterile white of the medical charts pinned haphazardly. Here the air is thick with unspoken fears, the silence punctuated only by the low hum of fluorescent lights. An individual sits across from a psychologist, eyes glazed, as if witnessing a world through fogged glass. Psychogenic amnesia, a condition where the mind, in its unfathomable complexity, self-erases memories deemed too painful to bear. In this room, the weight of such a phenomenon becomes palpable. The individual, once vibrant, now reduced to fragmented recollections, a jigsaw puzzle missing vital pieces. The psychologist leans in, a careful observer of this delicate psyche, seeking to unravel the enigma without tearing the fabric of the individual's fragile reality. What do you remember? The question hangs in the air, heavy and laced with trepidation. A pause ensues, thick with tension. The individual blinks as if emerging from a deep slumber. Words struggle to surface, entangled in a web of lost moments. The mind's defense mechanism, a barrier erected against the storm of trauma, stands resolute. Images flash, a child's laughter, a sunlit park, shadows of faces, familiar yet distant, tinged with an ache that cannot be placed. A flicker of recognition, then darkness. The psychologist notes the subtle twitch of a finger, the micro-expressions that betray a deeper turmoil. This is not just memory loss, it is a profound disconnection from identity and reality. The clinical analysis begins, mapping the labyrinthine pathways of the mind. The individual embodies a case study of the human experience, the fragility of memory, the resilience of the psyche. Each lost memory represents a life altered, relationships fractured. The psychologist's pen moves swiftly across the page, capturing the essence of a soul adrift in the void. Outside the confines of this sterile room, the world moves on, unaware of the battles waged within. Friends and family linger in the periphery, their faces etched with concern, their voices strained with unvoiced questions. How does one console a mind that cannot remember love, laughter, or loss? As the session unfolds, a heavy silence blankets the room once more. The individual's gaze drifts to the window, where the sun casts an unyielding light. This light, so relentless, is a reminder of the memories that remain obscured. In this moment, it becomes clear. The price of memory is not simply recollection, but the very essence of who we are. The cost is profound, echoing through the chambers of the heart and mind, reverberating long after the session ends. The room was sterile, its walls painted a clinical white, devoid of emotion. Flickering fluorescent lights cast an unsteady glow over the subject seated in the small chair. Dr. Collins observed intently, a practiced gaze shifting between the individual and the array of notes scattered across the table. This was not merely a case study. It was a dissection of fractured identity. The subject, a man in his late 30s, exhibited the telltale signs of psychogenic amnesia. He had lost not just memories, but the very essence of who he once was. When asked about his past, he offered only fragments, shadows of a life once lived. The clinical diagnosis was clear: dissociative amnesia triggered by a traumatic incident. Yet the implications of this condition stretched far beyond the confines of psychology. "Your life is a narrative, but you are missing pages," Dr. Collins stated, his voice steady. The subject blinked, confusion etching lines into his forehead. Memories, once vibrant and full, had been erased as if rewritten by an unseen hand. The price of memory was steep. It robbed him of relationships, dreams, and aspirations. Dr. Collins leaned closer, tapping a pen against his notepad. "Let's explore your emotional landscape. What do you feel when you think about your past?" The question hung in the air, weighted with unspoken fears. The subject's eyes darkened, a storm brewing beneath the surface. He hesitated, words caught in a web of uncertainty. "I feel empty," he finally admitted, his voice a mere whisper, like a photograph faded with time. The clinical analogy resonated: a life without context, devoid of connection, a canvas stripped of color. It became evident that the behavioral ramifications extended beyond memory loss. Isolation gripped him, tightening its hold with each passing day. Dr. Collins recognized the broader implications of psychogenic amnesia. It was not just a cognitive disconnect. It altered how individuals interacted with the world. Relationships fractured under the weight of unshared experiences. Trust eroded, creating a chasm between the subject and those who wished to reach him. Living in the present is difficult when the past is a void, Dr. Collins said softly, his tone a blend of empathy and professionalism. The subject nodded, tears welling in his eyes. The cost of forgetting was not merely personal. It echoed through the lives of those around him. As the session continued, the stark reality emerged. The human psyche, fragile yet resilient, bore the scars of its battles. Memory was the thread that wove together existence, and when severed, it left only a tattered fabric. The journey toward healing would be long and arduous, but the first step lay in acknowledging the price of memory lost. Memory is an intricate tapestry, each thread woven with experience, emotion, and identity. Yet within the human psyche lies a chasm, a psychological bridge that some individuals must traverse, often without a map. This bridge is fragile and can collapse under the weight of trauma. The incident left many stranded on this precipice, teetering between the known and the forgotten. Psychogenic amnesia acts like a veil, obscuring the past and manipulating the present. Individuals are thrust into a void. Moments that once defined them fade into shadows. They are trapped in a labyrinth of their own consciousness. For many, the journey back to selfhood becomes an arduous pilgrimage. The mind, in its attempt to protect, erects barriers. Memories that could lead to despair are snuffed out, leaving only echoes. Consider the case of Subject 1023, a once vibrant artist, now a ghost of her former self. The incident struck, and her world imploded. The canvas she once painted with vivid colors became a blank slate. She could no longer recall the warmth of the sun on her skin or the laughter of friends. Each day turned into a cycle of confusion. The memories that anchored her identity slipped through her fingers like grains of sand. Clinical studies reveal that the mind employs this defense mechanism as a survival instinct. It is a psychological bridge constructed in response to unbearable pain. Yet this bridge often leads to isolation. Friends and family, bewildered by the sudden changes, are left standing at either end, unable to reach one another. The individual becomes a prisoner within their own psyche, a silent scream echoing in the void. Therapists, akin to skilled architects, endeavor to rebuild this bridge. They help the individual navigate the treacherous waters of their own thoughts. Through techniques like guided imagery and narrative therapy, they begin to reconstruct the shattered fragments. Memories once locked away cautiously emerge, yet the path is fraught with peril. Each recollection can trigger a deluge of emotions, leaving the individual vulnerable and exposed. The psychological bridge remains a dual-edged sword. It can lead to healing or deeper despair. For some, the act of reclaiming lost memories ignites a fierce resurgence of identity. For others, the journey is too overwhelming, a reminder of the unbearable weight they once carried. In the aftermath of the incident, the consequences of psychogenic amnesia ripple outward, affecting not just the individual, but the very fabric of their relationships. In the end, memory is both a curse and a blessing. It shapes who we are, yet can shatter us into pieces. The psychological bridge stands as a testament to this struggle, a fragile connection between what was lost and what can be found, a reminder that the price of memory is often paid in sorrow. The air hung heavy, charged with a tension that seemed to seep through the walls of the sterile room. In the center, a figure sat, lost in the labyrinth of their own mind. This was not merely a case of lost memories. It was a profound fracture in the psyche, an abyss from which few could return. Psychogenic amnesia had wrapped its tendrils around the individual, erasing the past with a cold precision. The mind, a complex network of synapses and memories, is both a fortress and a prison. When faced with trauma, it can respond in unexpected ways. Here, in this clinical environment, a battle raged within. The individual's experiences, once vibrant, had dulled to whispers, fragments floating like ghosts. Each suppressed memory was a wound that festered in silence, an echo of a life once lived. The therapist's voice cut through the fog, calm and steady. "Tell me what you remember." Each word was a lifeline, but the response was a void, a black hole of recollection. The individual's eyes flickered, a glimmer of recognition passing like a shadow. The past was not just forgotten, it was actively resisted. In moments of vulnerability, the psyche clamped down, guarding its secrets with ferocity. As the session progressed, the therapist employed a technique akin to peeling layers of an onion. Each layer revealed a new dimension of trauma, a new facet of the individual's existence. What do you feel when you think about that day? The question hung in the air, laden with expectation. An internal struggle ensued. Fear clashed with the desire for understanding. It was a clinical paradox. The more one sought to unearth the buried memories, the more they seemed to recede, retreating into the shadows. The mind, in its protective instinct, built walls thick with denial. Each attempt to breach those walls only fortified them further. The price of memory was steep, a toll paid in anguish and confusion. The session drew to a close, but the journey was just beginning. The therapist's notes captured the essence of the struggle: fragmented identities, shattered timelines, and the haunting absence of self. Outside, life continued, indifferent to the turmoil within. The individual remained ensnared in a silent war, grappling with the specter of their own existence. This was the deep dive, a descent into the depths of consciousness where clarity often eluded grasp. The human mind, both resilient and fragile, possessed the power to heal, yet it also bore the capacity to forget. In that tension lay the heart of psychogenic amnesia, a complex interplay of memory and trauma, forever altering the landscape of a life once whole. In the shadow of an unforeseen calamity, the world bore witness to an epidemic of psychogenic amnesia. This was not a mere psychological anomaly, it was a seismic shift in the fabric of human memory. Individuals, once vibrant and whole, were reduced to fragmented echoes of their former selves. The global perspective revealed a chilling truth. Memory is as much a part of identity as the body that houses it. Across continents, families found themselves grappling with the void left behind. A mother, who had nurtured her child through every milestone, now stared blankly at a stranger. A husband, once a steadfast partner, became a ghost haunting his own home. These cases were not isolated. They formed a tapestry of disconnection that stretched from urban centers to remote villages. Clinicians and researchers raced to understand this phenomenon. They likened the mind to a library where memories are the books. In psychogenic amnesia, entire sections of this library were removed, leaving empty shelves and confused patrons. What remained was a disorienting silence, a longing for narratives that could no longer be accessed. The implications were staggering. Lives were not just altered, they were dismantled. In major cities, support groups emerged, providing a semblance of solace. Individuals shared their stories in hushed tones, the weight of their reality palpable. "I can't remember my own child's name," one individual confessed, tears streaming down a face that was both familiar and foreign. The shared anguish fostered a fleeting sense of community, yet it also underscored the profound isolation inherent in their experiences. Each story was a reminder of what had been lost, a testament to resilience amidst the overwhelming tide of absence. The global medical community, though initially perplexed, began to coalesce around a unified hypothesis. They posited that the psychological trauma experienced during the incident had triggered an instinctual defense mechanism. In this light, memory was not merely a repository of facts, it was a fortress, a safeguard against overwhelming pain. Yet, the very act of forgetting had a price. Individuals were cut off from the narratives that shaped them, trapped in a liminal space between self and other. As the months turned into years, the ramifications of this collective amnesia rippled through societies. Relationships frayed, communities disintegrated, and the very essence of identity became a contentious battleground. The world had changed, not through a cataclysm of physical destruction, but through an unseen force that erased the essence of who we are. Memory, once taken for granted, now stood as a fragile thread. It was clear the cost of forgetting was far greater than anyone had anticipated. The courtroom buzzed with a palpable tension. Shadows danced across the polished wood of the judge's bench. The air felt thick, as if it were laced with the weight of unspoken truths. Eyes darted, searching for clarity amid the chaos of fragmented memories. The individual at the center of this storm sat rigidly. Their face, a canvas of confusion and fear, betrayed no hint of the tumult within. Psychogenic amnesia had stripped away the very fabric of their identity, leaving behind a hollow shell. They had become a mere echo of who they once were, a living paradox caught between past and present. As the defense attorney presented their closing arguments, the words flowed like a steady stream, punctuated by the occasional tremor of emotion. This subject's mind, once vibrant and full of life, is now a battleground. Trauma has unmade their past, rendering them incapable of recalling the very events that brought them here. Each phrase resonated like the tolling of a bell, marking the end of an era. The prosecution countered with clinical precision. This individual's amnesia is not a shield. It is a weapon, wielded to manipulate perceptions, to escape accountability. Their voice, cold and unyielding, sliced through the air. The audience shifted uneasily, caught in the crossfire of opposing narratives. The judge's gavel struck down like thunder, silencing the murmurs. The room held its breath. It was a moment suspended in time, where every heartbeat seemed to echo the weight of moral judgment. The jury, cloaked in solemnity, had become the arbiters of fate. Their deliberation was not merely about facts, but about the very essence of memory and the price it exacted. A verdict loomed, heavy with implications. The psychology of memory is fraught with complexity. It can be a fortress, protecting the self from unbearable pain. Yet it also serves as a prison, locking away truths that can never be reclaimed. In this stark arena, innocence and guilt were presented as two sides of the same coin, spinning wildly, unmoored from reality. Finally, the foreperson rose, voice steady yet tinged with gravity. We find the subject. The words hung in the air, a fragile thread connecting the individual's fate to the world outside. The final verdict would not only define the outcome of the case, but also echo throughout the lives shattered by the incident. In that moment, the courtroom became a crucible of human experience, where the cost of memory was laid bare. What remained was a haunting realization. Some truths, once lost, can never be found.